Thank you guys for being so flexible. We've had to do some serious schedule rearrangements here in the last couple of days, and had to move a mixer to Sunday night, which complicated this. So anyway, long story short, thank you guys. We apologize for the inconvenience. Hopefully some of you have been able to join us live. If not, we are recording this, and we will get it out there on the website later today for the rest of you to view. But this is class 3. We're going to wrap things up today. We've got a few more important nuggets, I think, to get across to everybody. And one of the things that we want to start talking about is Facebook. And it's obviously we all use it. We use it as a huge communication tool for our team and our group, and it's a great way to talk to a lot of people and get a lot of information out there all at once. But there are definitely good ways to use Facebook and then bad ways to use Facebook. You got it straight?
I don't know. It's just not looking right to me.
Back to Facebook. There are good ways to use Facebook and bad ways to use Facebook. And, I guess from my perspective, a big part of this is we use Facebook to create awareness. Mm-hmm. And that's a big part of what we all do within Advocare is just simply create awareness for what you have to offer people. So you will see Rebecca and I would encourage you guys to, if you're not friends with us, first of all, to friend us. Brooks and Chris Reed, Ellie Dowling, any other leaders, the Arostegis, any other leaders within the organization, please friend them so you can see how they use Facebook. But you will see us post a lot about product results that people are getting. We'll give shout outs. We'll say, hey, congratulations, Joe Smith. He just lost 10 pounds during his 24-day challenge. So all those people that are out there that know what we do with Advocare, they'll see results. And again, we're just creating awareness. And you got to remember, so much of this boils down to it's when the time is right for them and not you. So a lot of when we share with people, we just simply want them to know what we do. We'll periodically post certain things on Facebook about what Advocare is doing or certain results that we've had. But what we try to do is make our life look attractive. And it is. So you will see a lot of times we post about family activities, events, things that we can do during the day because we have the freedom now that we didn't used to have. Now, what I try to avoid is I want to avoid making Advocare or making us look like infomercials on Facebook. So you will hardly ever, I don't know if I have ever posted financial results on Facebook. I don't necessarily say congratulations to so-and-so for earning X dollars this month or, post rookie bonus results on there because I don't want it to look like an infomercial.
Or about PGV or things of that nature. Yeah. I mean, what we may promote in terms of financial success is about what those extra finances have done in the lives of those individuals. But as Ryan said, Facebook, when used properly, is a wonderful tool. And, Facebook, when it's not used properly, can really do a lot of damage to your business. I wish I could remember the exact words of my friend Lois Gregory, but she compared Facebook to being a scalpel in the hands of a very skilled surgeon or a hatchet in the hands of someone who really doesn't know exactly what to do with it. So, yeah, you want to be very skilled in how you approach the use of Facebook in your business and not make it seem solicitous and that you're fishing for business. Know that when people look at what you do on Facebook and what you say on Facebook, they are asking themselves in the back of their mind whether it's a direct thought or whether it's just something in their subconscious mind of, do I want to do what they're doing? Do I want to be like they seem to be? And just know that you will be duplicated in this business for better or for worse. And Facebook can be an example of that. When you're posting the link to your website or you're message me if you'd like to place an order, those kinds of things. People who have seen you do that, who come into your business, are going to be doing the same thing. So, as Ryan said, what we do is we're in a business of attraction, so we want to make what we do look attractive. And, our way of creating awareness for what we do is promoting success. And promoting success is promoting the lifestyle that this affords us and promoting the success that other people are having, whether that's physical results or what it's done to help them create a better life for themselves or their family. One thing that I generally talk about when we talk about this topic of Facebook is Facebook how it pertains to your non-Advocare posts. Okay, because people are watching everything you do, and whether it's about Advocare or not, everything you do matters. And you are now representing Advocare, so you're representing everyone that's involved in this company. And you are representing us, and we are representing you. And we always want to make you guys proud, and we want to make our peers proud and our CEO proud. Many of you are friends with him on Facebook. I know Ryan and I are. So, everything you do matters, and that goes to your daily life. Even if you post a status that has nothing to do with your Advocare business, you want to still be attractive. And, not every day is the best day. Not every day is sunshine and rainbows and hearts and unicorns. I mean, we certainly have our days that are not fantastic, and maybe it has nothing to do with Advocare, but I'm never going to make that my status.
We don't advertise.
I'm going to find some way to, kind of get that out of my system, but putting it on my status on Facebook is not going to be how I do that. Yeah. I don't know if you want to interject something here.
Well, I was just thinking, I look at it, Facebook is one of your main conduits to your market, okay? And, like it or not, if we're on Facebook, we are connected to a lot of people, and that's kind of what all we've led up to. But part of my perspective is when I look at it, I look at like all those friends that I have out there on Facebook that I'm really not all that close to. Those are people that could be potential customers one day, because at some point in time, the time is going to be right for them. So to Rebecca's point, I'm very cautious about, I don't want to alienate anybody. And again, it's your account, it's your Facebook account, and this is your business. So you can choose to do what you want to. When I look at Facebook from a business standpoint, I see a lot of market out there. I see a lot of people that could use these products at some point in time in the future. So today, I'm not going to go out there and make a political post or a religious post or I'll just say a controversial post. I'm not going to put something like that out there that's going to alienate half of my market. Because if I put what I want to say, like a controversial topic out there, and half of my friends are like, oh boy, that's awful, he shouldn't think that way, I've probably just turned off half of my marketplace. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's just a way to stay connected. It's a way to create awareness, to let people know kind of what we do and how we do, and that we do it in a very what's the word I want to use, attractive manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and the one thing, a couple quick don'ts that I'll say too is do not post your website. All right, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But again, it makes it look like an infomercial. You honestly don't want somebody to go straight to your website. You want them to talk to you. You want them to talk to us. You want them to go through the success system like we explained in the last class. If they go straight to your website, they're just going to see a bunch of retail prices. It's going to look expensive to them. They're not going to understand anything, and they're going to get overwhelmed with the number of products.
People are sold on products when they hear a story attached to the products.
Right.
When they go to a microsite that has a price and a picture of a product, there's no story attached, and therefore they don't really truly know what they're getting. And they don't know that they have options in terms of getting it cheaper. And they also don't know that they have options to share it and make, whether it's a little bit of extra money to pay for their product use or potentially life-changing money. Them clicking on your link tells them nothing about any of those things. So my goal is not to give them my link until they have been involved in some part of the success system and they're ready to do something.
And we have a whole page of kind of Facebook recommendations, do's and don'ts, because quite honestly, there's a lot of people that are literally building an entire business off of Facebook. This Sunday night, we've got a special training by Diamond distributor Jason Miller. I think he says like 80 to 90% of his distributors have come from Facebook. So it's a huge tool for everybody to use if it's used correctly. Mm-hmm. And kind of that point about not alienating half your marketplace, and this is kind of a funny thing, but you got to be real careful too, because as you approach people, you're talking to them about a health and wellness product and something that could benefit them. So, and again, this is not meant to come across as judgmental, I mean, it's not like we don't go out for pizza and beer at times ourselves. I mean, I'll have pizza when I'm out with Brandon, or we'll have cake at birthday parties. I mean, we're not crazy on the challenge like 100% of the time, but we don't necessarily post that stuff. So, I don't want one of my friends to say, well, sure, he's talking to me about health and wellness products, but look how he goes out and how he spends his weekends and, what he does and what he consumes himself. That just makes it look like I'm just trying to sell them something. So you want to be very, very careful with the image that you portray if you want to use Facebook as a tool, which it can be huge for your business.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. Let's talk a little bit too, like when we talked about, camps 1 and 2, we talked about sharing and the success system. There are some very common objections that come up. And one of those objections that a lot of times when you share with people is they're going to talk about that the marketplace is saturated. Or they might ask that question. We get asked that question a lot. Is it too late to join? Is everybody already involved with Advocare? And the answer is absolutely not. When you look at it this way, think about it this way. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of approximately 450,000 distributors. All right, that's a little over 8% of the U.S. population. So it's a very small number of memberships that we have compared to the population. A lot of times when people, if I'm being introduced to somebody and they say, well, there's somebody at my school is already selling Advocare, or somebody in my church is already selling Advocare. Who cares? Okay, there is a lot of air out there for everybody to breathe. And I'll use like Rebecca's dance class in like our little community as an example. I mean, literally coming out of Rebecca's class was her sponsor. And, her sponsor, our sponsor, Brooks Reed, is a diamond distributor. Rebecca is now a diamond distributor. And another lady named Mary Alice Duncan is a 9-star emerald distributor. And they all basically started in that one dance class. It very quickly grows outside of that initial market and outside of that circle, just like a school or a church or any other group of friends. And just to kind of emphasize that point too, I'll use that example because Brooks and Chris are literally probably 15 minutes from us. They probably live 15 minutes away. And literally like within their neighborhood, they live in the same neighborhood as Jason and Angela Pinnell, who are platinum distributors. And then that Mary Alice Duncan lives in the exact same neighborhood too. So within literally like a 15-mile radius, you've got 2 diamonds, a platinum, and a 9-star emerald. One of our last distributors literally lived right here in our neighborhood. So, I mean, we bump into people every single day who have still not heard of Advocare and don't know what it is. So, that marketplace saturation, I just think is kind of comical. What I kind of look at is, we compare ourselves to Sam's Club and Costco all the time. And those people have somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 million distributors. So think about where Advocare is going to be, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5, 10, 15 years from now, if we go from 450,000 into the millions of distributors. So it's a great time to get involved, and it's going to be a great time for years to come. Anything else you want to add there? Okay. So is it saturated? That's typically a great one we get. The other one that we kind of laugh about a lot and that we make jokes about is, is it a pyramid scheme? And I get that response because, again, you got to remember you're talking to somebody who was skeptical about this for a year. And I don't think I ever thought it was an illegal pyramid scheme because that's really pretty silly when you think about it. But it's the concept of multi-level marketing that most people are getting stuck on. And 9 times out of 10, when somebody comes to you and they're like, well, that's a pyramid scheme, I don't know if I want to get involved, they've probably had a bad experience in the past. I talk to those people all the time. They got involved with some type of multi-level marketing deal where there was an auto shipment or there was a quota. So the company would literally push its products on those people, and they would end up with a garage full of products that they couldn't get rid of, and they'd end up losing money. And that's one of the things that is so great about Advocare is that there's no continuing obligation. This is not a push system. We literally, our customers, our clients purchase products when they want to, because they want to. And I always emphasize that there's no continuing obligation. There's no minimums, there's no quotas, there's no monthly fees, there's no auto shipments. A lot of times that in and of itself will put people's minds at ease. And it's kind of funny too. I mean, you guys know I come from a corporate background and out of the corporate world. And I look at like my organization, the organizations that I've always worked for and where we came from, that was probably more of a pyramid than what we have. Because, I look at the hierarchy of any organization, and, you've got like entry-level administrative people that are probably earning less than, their coordinators above them, and then there's supervisors, and then there's managers, and there's directors, and there's superintendents, and vice presidents, and CEOs. And if you look at that pay structure, it's literally there's fewer people at the top that are making more money. What's nice about what we have is in a way, when you really think about it, we're almost like an anti-pyramid, because, and we're not multi-level marketing experts by any stretch, but this is referred to as a multi-level breakaway program, which means that you or us or anybody else can out-earn our sponsors. So kind of how I described that pyramid shape of the corporation, where the person down here is never going to be able to pass the person up here unless, unless people are fired and they get promoted and they work their way up slowly over time. With Advocare, you have the ability, you dictate how quickly you go, and you can pass your sponsor as quick as you want to based on your performance. And kind of the way our comp structure is set up is your sponsor is always going to benefit a little bit from you because they're the ones that share it with you, and hopefully they're helping you grow a business. However, no matter how much they help you, if you grow your business quicker than them, you're going to surpass them, which is why we refer to this as a multi-level breakaway program. You dictate how quickly you go, and nobody else does.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay. You want to take the third one? Cost?
Cost, yes, absolutely. So a lot of people who are new to Advocare sometimes come to us, well, I'm really having a hard time talking about Advocare because people think it's expensive. And the first question I would ask you is, do you think it's expensive? Okay, because, my personal opinion is when Advocare found me, I was in a situation where it was very expensive for me to feel the way that I was feeling. And it was not a good thing. And I would have probably paid twice as much as the 24-day challenge cost in order to feel as much better as we ended up feeling and continue to use products every day for the past 3 years. I honestly think at full retail value, the products are worth every penny. So if your opinion is that the products are too expensive, then yeah, you're going to be projecting that onto every single person that you talk to. So, my first question to you is, if you're thinking that everyone's going to have the reaction that the products are expensive, is check yourself and look in the mirror and ask yourself, is that what you're thinking right now? Because honestly, most people save money when they're using Advocare products. You're probably going to be at the very worst in a cost-neutral situation where you're making exchanges of one thing for another. You're exchanging sparks for drinking a 6-pack of Diet Coke a day or a twice-a-day Starbucks habit. You're not going through the drive-thru for breakfast in the morning, which is costing you both time and money, and you're going to just drink a meal replacement shake. So there are a lot of ways that we can certainly say that Advocare products are not expensive. They're going to save you money, and the cost of your quality of life cannot be calculated in terms of where they are right now. That is in a place that they don't necessarily like. So just keep that in the back of your mind right now when I'm going through how to talk about cost objections from people that maybe you're not projecting them onto. People are concerned about $190 because they're spending that money up front for 24 days. You need to be able to break that down into a per day basis so that people start to actually shift their perspective to think about, well, what am I spending on a daily basis on what I'm doing right now? If the 24-day challenge, if I were to pay full price for it, am I spending $7 a day somewhere that I am going to recoup while I'm doing this and get the results that I'm not getting by doing whatever it is I'm doing right now? Okay, chances are very high that they are spending $7 a day somewhere. Whether or not that's Starbucks, I don't know, but they're probably spending it somewhere that they're going to not be doing for those 24 days. So you want to be able to set it up for them so that they can start to conceptualize, okay, here are the results that I'm looking for. How is this program going to get me from point A to point B? and where am I going to be making exchanges so that, this is really and truly not going to be costing me more money. Do you want to say something about any of that?
You're good.
Okay, all right. I see him looking at me, and I'm like, maybe he's thinking of a better idea of how to explain this. So that's the first thing, is help them understand that what the cost looks like. We're really talking about making exchanges of one thing for another. And, the other thing that, and maybe ask them too, where's your breakfast coming from? What are you doing for energy right now? Are you drinking 2 pots of coffee a day? Are you, buying coffee at Starbucks, in the morning? Are you stopping at McDonald's for breakfast? What are you doing for lunch? There are a lot of questions that you can just start asking that's going to start making them really think about their habits that they're probably not thinking about right now. They're just thinking about, this is something extra, it's $190, okay, which is really not the case. The other thing that I really like to talk about when I'm in one-on-one conversations with some of you guys that are having this issue of cost is the intangible costs, the costs that don't have to do with dollars, okay? The cost that has to do with waking up every morning, not liking where you are in life, not liking how you feel, walking into your closet knowing nothing fits every day, and that there's a psychological cost to that. There's a toll that it's taking somewhere on your life that you would probably be willing to pay $7 a day to alleviate some of that cost. And that if in 24 days this could get you to a better place where you're looking better, feeling better, and performing better, and having some momentum behind you that's propelling you into a better future, whether that's physically or financially or both, who wouldn't pay? Honestly, I think $2,100 is not enough. We obviously took that investment and turned it into something that created financial freedom for our family. But, honestly, I think if it were more people would take it more seriously and do more with it. But $190 is nothing when you look at the results that people are getting all over the place. I can name a dozen different medical plans, or I've heard of people flying to Chicago or Dallas and spending $2,000 for a month-long program that doesn't deliver the kind of results that the 24-day challenge will. It's really a matter of allowing those people to get exposed to a bigger picture and not just going to your microsite and hearing from you that it's $190. So that's my 2 cents about cost objections. I don't know if Ryan has anything to add to that.
I think that was great.
Okay.
Let's slide these out of the way, and we'll use the board here for a minute. Let's see, let's get this close enough. There we go. All right, we're going to talk a little bit now about the relationships, and part of what's important here is, adjust this just real quick, tip it up a little bit. Part of what, there we go. Part of what's important here is how we walk through this. I think most of you are probably aware of these relationships, and you're obviously already involved in one way, shape, or form. But when we present these to people, it's important that they understand the different relationships and the different ways they can get involved. And again, like we were talking about before, that's why this is so great compared to so many other programs that are out there, is because people have choices. And, when we walk through this with a group, we'll talk about the 4 relationships. As a matter of fact, a lot of times we even say there's a 5th relationship. If the time's not right for somebody, they have the option to do nothing right now. And that's perfectly fine. We understand that and we respect that. Now, my personal opinion is that when they say the time's not right for them right now, that they will be back. And that's where we talk about time, consistency, staying involved, staying engaged. We've had people just recently come back to us 2 years after the fact who we reached out to multiple years ago, that now the time is right for them. And for one reason or another, one lady's an old high school friend of mine, she's getting married, and now she's ready to do the 24-day challenge. And she also had to quit her job and move to be with her new husband. So you never know where that'll go. But as we explain this to people, there's really 4 different ways that they can get involved. One, people can become a retail customer, which just simply means they're buying, it's like buying product off the shelf. That just means that they're paying full retail price. Now, getting products in somebody's body is always a win, okay? That's always a victory, and keep that in mind. But what we tell people is we do not recommend that you become a retail customer. At a minimum, we recommend that people become a wholesale customer. And that's kind of how I explain this. We are literally like a Sam's Club or a Costco. For $79, they're going to get $60 worth of products that they can use during the 24-day challenge. So they actually get products that they can use for that. So for the extra $19, you get a 20% discount that you can use off your entire store. And now again, when I explain this, a lot of times it's important to emphasize with people that at that point in time, they are technically a distributor. I mean, so they can share it with a friend or a brother or a sister, but there's no obligation to do that. So even though you're technically a distributor, you're really just a member. And you purchase products when you want because you want to. And that's where so many people do so well at this, is because they get a lot of wholesale customers. And 9 times out of 10, those wholesale customers are going to come back and be repeat customers because this is a great product, it's a consumable product, and people want to keep feeling good, they want to keep using it. However, and we've seen this unfold, when somebody becomes a retail customer, there's a very high likelihood that they're just going to purchase products one time. But when they become a wholesale customer and they've got their own discount, they're much more likely to be a repeat customer and continue to stay engaged and stay involved, and who knows, maybe even eventually come to share it with other people, even though that might not be their original intention. Now, number 3 and number 4 are both addressing the 40% discount, which we discussed in class 1 as that's the business advisor level. And they're split up on here because this is really just a mindset difference. When somebody gets to this 40% discount level, we have a lot of people that just look at that for pure discount. It's the cheapest way to use the world's finest nutritional products. So if somebody's going to use products for the next few months, matter of fact, my opinion is even if somebody's just going to do a 24-day challenge, why wouldn't you want to use that 24-day challenge as cheap as possible? We always recommend that people get to advisors so they can use those products as cheap as possible. And that's what people are doing here. If we have people with long-term weight loss goals, if we have people, we've got, athletes, baseball players, football players, that coaches that know they're going to want to continue to use products over the course of the long term, or even just like, weekend warrior kind of dads, that exercise a lot. They know they're going to use products over the next few months, the next 6 months, the next year. Why not use them as cheap as possible and become a distributor? And then 4, and this is going to kind of lead into the rest of our dialogue and conversation today, 4 is the business advisor. And that's somebody, again, they're both 40%, okay, so don't think, and we hear this all the time, we hear people say, oh, they're not interested in the business. I don't care, all right? If they're not interested in the business, 40% still makes the most sense for them. But if they are interested in the business, the 40% discount opens up all the forms of compensation. There we go. And this is why that's important. Because, anybody who's a distributor can earn money via retail or wholesale. And if you have a 20% discount and you sell a 24-day challenge, you just made 20% off that. So you'll make roughly $20 or $40. You'll make roughly $40. If you're a wholesale customer and somebody purchases products off of you, that's where if you're at 20% and they buy products off, you make the discount difference. When they are wholesale customers, you can make a wholesale commission. So if you're at the business advisor level and you've got a 40% discount and your brother or your best friend also wants to get his own discount because he's going to keep working out for the next 6 months and he wants to use the same products as Drew Brees, so he wants to become a member as well. So then you're going to make wholesale commissions off him. You'll make 20% off everything that he makes. And kind of going back to this retail one, think about that. If you're at an advisor level and somebody purchases the 24-day challenge off of you, you just made $80 because you just made 40% off of that. All right. Now, what the business advisor opens up are number 3, 4, and 5. All right. And this is important because these are only available for advisors. So if somebody wants to make more than just a couple $100s a month, we always recommend that they get to this advisor level because that's where you can start to earn $500, $1,000, $1,500. That's where you can make $30, $40, $50, $80,000 a year or $100,000 a year like Ellie Dowling or even more. So if somebody's really interested from a business standpoint, they get to the advisor level, and these override and leadership, these are the forms of residual income. And Rebecca's going to walk through those in just a second, kind of how that works for somebody, because this is what's going to get you to silver. All right. That's why we talked about in class 1, it's important for you, if you're not an advisor right now, to get to that advisor level. Because if you want to become silver, you're going to need residual income for number 3 and number 4, and we'll describe how that works. And then the rookie bonus program, the incentives, like the Costa Rica trip that's out there right now. We've got Brandon Frith, Bart Rader, and Chris Mason all in contention for the Costa Rica trip. And we've got multiple people winning rookie bonuses now, but they're only available to advisors. So that's how we get paid. With that, you kind of want to walk through the silver calculation and how overrides and leadership contribute to that?
Yeah. Do we have a board that has the leadership chart?
No, but you can start mapping it out, and I can do it.
Okay. Okay, guys. So I like to draw, so that's, I think, why Ryan gave me this segment. And I'm going to talk about how the residual aspect of our compensation plan works, okay, and why we speak to all of you with such strength about the benefits of getting to advisor. Okay, advisor is not only what's in your best interest in terms of using products on a long-term basis and having the potential to earn the maximum amount that the compensation plans out, it's also what's best for the people that you're sharing the products with. Okay, I know I talked in class 1 about how this is not a selfish business. This is a pay-it-forward business. So the reason I'm really speaking about that right now is I'm about to talk about how leadership and override are earned, and those things can only be earned when you help other people on your team get to advisor. Okay, here's you, okay? Oops. This is how I hold my marker that happened. Okay, so here you are. You've shared products with some people, okay? So you've got 3 people on your team. Let's say that they're all just distributors with a 20% discount. One has a 25% discount. They did a $500 order or more. You get another 20% discount person, all right? So right now, you're still only able to earn retail profits and wholesale commissions, okay? Because the people on your team have not yet reached the advisor level. When you get that first person who understands and gets to advisor, that's when those numbers 3 and number 4 part of the compensation plan kick in, override and leadership. I'm going to start my drawing over here a little bit. So I recently had a conversation with someone who's been an advisor for a period of time, simply to use products at the largest discount, but came back to the table less than a year ago and said, I'm really ready to, I see what you've done with this, I'm ready to focus on it from a business perspective because our circumstances have changed. We're building a house, or we're going to have a bigger mortgage, and I'd like to use this opportunity that I've had at my fingertips all this time. I'd really like to choose now to take advantage of that. And after 6 months, this person is a silver distributor, that I was looking at her organization and seeing that out of the 25 or so distributors that are signed up on her team, they're all really just mostly circles that have 20 or 25% discounts attached to them. And she had 2 people who'd reached the advisor level, and those people were part of how she got to the silver level several months ago. But those people haven't been active for a while. So she's sort of wondering, where do I go from here? And that was what flagged me to say, okay, let's talk about why we have so few people who are at the advisor level. So know that as you're building now, many of you are very young in your Advocare businesses. Speak with strength from the beginning about getting to advisor, because that's really why those of us who have moved quickly in our Advocare businesses, us and the Reeds reaching the diamond level in 18 and 19 months, it was because we were able to speak advisor with strength. People saw that, the speed of the leader was the speed of the pack, and things started moving quickly. Does every single person we talk to get to advisor? No. But we're certainly planting that seed and letting them know what's in it for them. Okay, so that might have seemed like an aside, but I hope you took something away from it in terms of how that applies to what I'm about to map out for you. So let's say that we talk in terms of 3 a lot of the time when we're mapping out your business. Okay, here are 3 legs of business that you have that are advisors. A leg is, your frontline person getting to advisor. That becomes a leg of business for you. We'll get a little bit more into what that looks like when the pin levels start to advance and you hear about 3-star gold and 6-star ruby. That involves you having multiple legs of business that are contributing toward your override compensation. But for silver pin and gold, those don't require multiple legs of business contributing to your override. They only really require one, but it can be contributed to by multiple advisors. Okay, so let's say you've got these 3 advisors. Silver means you have $100 of override. Okay? I hope you can see or read this. I know there's a little bit of a glare from our windows coming across there on the camera. Anyway, hopefully it's okay. I know it's reflecting off the whiteboard. Oh, thank you, dear. So, $100 of override. What does that mean? That's where we do some math. The transom is still open, but we're doing the best we can. Okay, so $100 of override. You're seeing that showing up on your reports. How are you getting that? Where is that coming from? Override is 7% of business volume. Okay, that's the calculation. Have you ever placed an order and at the bottom of your order it says this is X number of dollars of business volume, and you're like, what does that mean? When you're new, you really don't need to know. But override is 7% of what we're going to just call it BV for this illustration. BV is business volume. Okay, business volume equals half of retail. Okay, so it's half of the retail price is business volume. The reason that we so heavily emphasize 3K and why 3K is important and the consistency of hitting 3K in your business. You're about to see kind of the magic of where that ties together. $100 of override, we'll just call that OR, equals $3,000 of retail. Okay? 3K retail volume. The key to all incentives. If you do the math on this, some of you might like to do math, I don't know, but we can just run through it really quickly. 3,000, when you're figuring out what the BV of $3,000 of retail is, it's 1,500, right? So 1,500 times 7%. Now, I'm getting even harder to read down here. I'm sorry. I hope you're listening and taking notes. Is $105 of override. Okay? So, let's bring this all back up here into our diagram. Let's say that you have these 3 advisors who are sharing products. They're accumulating retail volume. All right? If your 3 advisors, between the 3 of them, have a total of $3,000 in retail volume, you are in silver qualification. And I see that is not legible. Okay, so it can be a combination of all your advisors, or it can just come from one. All right? One of these guys might bring on someone who places an advisor order of $3,000 retail. Okay? If one of your advisors brings on an advisor, that automatically puts you into silver qualification. Okay? You have $105 of override just coming from them. And this person might be at 0 for the pay period. Maybe this person is at 500. okay? And they're contributing a little bit towards your override too. So you're going to have a little bit more than what you need for silver qualification that pay period. But know that you can get into silver qualification if you have just one advisor who's active and sharing Advocare. Maybe they're not necessarily a business builder. Maybe they shared it with a family member who said, well, what did you do? And then they did the exact same thing. So they placed their advisor order. Or it could come from someone who says, I want to earn that rookie bonus. How do I do it? And they, instead of bringing on one advisor, they find their 3 people, okay? Because they're going to earn that $500 rookie bonus in one pay period. So they find, maybe they find more than 3 people who have a combined total of that 3K in retail volume, all right? They earned their rookie bonus. They got their 3 new distributors and $3,000 worth of volume. You're also in silver qualification. So do you see how this begins to play out? You know, maybe this doesn't happen all from one, but if you have a couple people who are all, you know, at some stage in the game working this, you know, whether it's very passively or very actively, it all starts to accumulate, okay? And the more people that you talk to, and then you start to see them talking to people, that's when the snowball starts to roll downhill, and it gains momentum, and it brings more people. And this business becomes not about just who you know, but about also who they know, okay? Because I want to, can you hand me that towel? I want to illustrate sort of another aspect of how override is earned. Hopefully this is helping. Let's say again, I guess I'm just going to end up doing that all over again. But let's say you've got this one person here who is busy. They brought on an advisor, okay? And now it's being duplicated. They're bringing on, you know, this person wants to earn their rookie bonus, so they went out and they found 3 people. You know, here's your level 1. Here's your level 2. And here's your level 3, okay? So override is paid out through 3 levels, okay? Maybe this person's at 0 this pay period, but maybe the $3,000 in volume came from this person having $1,500, and this person had $500, and this person had $1,000, okay? Maybe all of your retail volume that gave you your $100 of override came from your 3rd level, all right? It's not just about who you know, but it's also about who they knew and who they knew, all right? So hopefully the override aspect is starting to make some sense. That's one way that we get paid. You've seen how it's calculated. Where the paychecks really begin to multiply out is when the leadership bonus is tacked onto that, okay? Silver leadership is a 3% bonus. It looks like he's got my chart there. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, you know, silver, as you can see right here, that's on average an extra $12,000 a year and some change. So let's say it's an extra $1,000 a month for the average family. That's significant, okay? Most of us are not going to get $1,000 a month raise at our jobs. You know, we'll be lucky to get an extra cost of living increase that's not going to be nearly amounting to this. So that's what silver looks like. That's 3% of the volume in your entire organization, okay? That's how it's calculated. You can see how it continues to increase. Gold is an extra 5%, okay? It's cumulative. So those who are at the gold level last year earned on average $39,518. This is probably an old chart, but it's still roughly the same amount. For gold, you need $500 in override. That's the largest statistical jump in our compensation plan because you need 5 times the override between silver and gold. The rest of these begin to just double. And I'm not sure how detailed Brian's wanting me to get into how all this works, but know that leadership bonuses, for those of us who are earning significant income, yeah, leadership bonuses don't stop at level 3. Okay, the leadership bonus goes to infinity. As deep as your organization ever becomes, you will receive a leadership bonus on that volume. And for us, the leadership bonus is a very large part of our compensation. Probably over 90% of our paycheck is leadership. All right, that's the money that Advocare pays us to help other people get paid. Advocare is a leadership company disguised as a health and wellness company. And, we're getting paid to develop leaders. We're getting paid to help other people achieve their goals. And that's what the leadership bonus represents, okay? It's helping other people get where they want to go. And that's why we get compensated for that. We're pouring into all of you on a Saturday morning. This is our leadership time. This is the time that we're spending leading you guys. So know that when these people down here get really excited and, are doing all kinds of great things, that's still good for you. It's wonderful when these people are, achieving great things and you're helping them do that, even though they're not part of levels 1 through 3, you're still being rewarded for that through your leadership bonus. So when you go and look at that color-coded chart that came in the little bound notebook in your distributor kit, those percentages are cumulative. Gold is 5%, 3-star gold is 7%, ruby is, I believe, another 3% on top of that. So those are going to continue to accumulate. That might be a good stopping point for this. I'm not sure if you want to talk about any more what this looks like.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, slide it away. Slide it back. All right, guys. Well, great. We're probably going to bring this thing in for a landing, okay, and wrap up this 3-week class. What I want to emphasize, I think, is, and you might be saying, wow, that's only 3 weeks, that's 3 hours, it's really not a lot of information. This is a very simple business, okay? I think we said that in the first class, kind of when we mapped out that quick little flow chart. I mean, it literally boils down to, are you sharing with people, okay? Because people are your fuel in this business. So are you sharing with people, and are you using the success system? And that's truly it. I mean, keep that old acronym. I mean, keep it simple, okay? KIS, keep it simple. We have people coming to us all the time. They're saying, well, what if I go to this trade show? And well, what if I place an ad in a magazine? And what if I set up a booth on the 5th hole of the local charity golf tournament? It's always good to do more. I mean, there are positives that come out of that. It's exposure. That's great. It's getting you used to sharing your story and interacting with people. But keep in mind, we've never done any of that stuff. I mean, all we do is really boil this down to basics. And when you do the basics extremely well, you will be successful. Okay? That's it. Keep in mind, have a short packaged story and plug people into your mentors, your sponsors. Okay? Spark people, okay? Get spark in people's bodies. Continue to wear your colors. Rebecca's got her Advocare shirt on. While we're out and about later today, somebody may say, hey, I've heard of Advocare. What is that? Or my neighbor did Advocare. Tell me more about that. Wear your colors. Spark people. Strike up conversations, all right? That's it. That's really all this boils down to. Is just keeping it extremely, extremely simple and using the system and the process that's out there for you, all right?
And making it look attractive, guys. Brian said earlier when we were talking about Facebook that our friend Jason Miller, who's a diamond distributor and awesome leader in this company in Dayton, Ohio, received a lot of his frontline distributors from Facebook. I wouldn't say that ours has been necessarily from Facebook, but the vast majority of our frontline organization were people that we already had existing relationships with through Advocare. They weren't chance encounters out in public, or we just bumped into someone that asked us about our t-shirt. They were people that already knew us and trusted us and, had some relationship with us at some point in our lives. That might have been 20 years ago. But it was existing relationships. You already know everyone that you've ever needed to know to be successful in this business. So just know that you do know enough people. It's just a matter of properly exposing them to what this could be for them and making this business look attractive and helping them get what they want.
Yeah. And keep in mind that people want what you have. All right, that should give you all the confidence in the world that you need. I mean, we've talked about the numbers earlier, but this company is growing rapidly. All right, every single day, and I love to use relevant examples. Literally, just this morning, a local high school football coach on our team, Seth Witherington, put me on the phone with the guy that gave him his very first job. All right, now this guy is he's moved on to another school. He's in another state. But Seth reached out to him. Okay, it was a great relationship. They're friends. Their families are friends. So this individual trusts Seth, who is our friend, and he got him on the phone with me because he wanted me to share with this guy what Advocare could do for him. And literally, I got on the phone with him. We just started chatting. He lives in the same city where Rebecca and I got engaged. Okay, so there was an immediate connection there. He's a huge baseball fan. I'm a huge baseball fan. I think we talked for like 20 minutes before we even got into Advocare. But then the more we talked about it, his wife really needs it from an energy perspective. I mean, really needs it. He's got a huge warm market. He still coaches multiple sports. So there was a lot of opportunity there for him. But all that started because Seth had a relationship with him. And he reached out to his friend and he said, hey, I've got something you may be interested in. And now this is going to be a fix for multiple, it's going to be a solution for multiple aspects of this individual's life. So that is exactly how this process works. It is absolutely perfect. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with is quite honestly, you dictate your pace. All right, Rebecca mentioned it earlier. We had Diamond in 18 months. Brooks and Chris hit Ruby in 89 days. And what that should tell you is that stuff is possible. That can happen. It doesn't have to happen. There's people that have been at Silver for 7 years and gone on to become Diamond distributors. But you dictate your pace. And the analogy that I like to use for that is just a simple deck of cards. And I've got my Advocare deck of cards here. But literally, I kind of look at this deck of cards as like, say this is my warm market. Okay, these are 52 people right here that I know. Okay, contacts either on my phone or Facebook or at church, at school, baseball team, you name it, previous coworkers. Here's 52 people that I know that might be interested in using products. I'm going to work through this warm market as quick as I want to, and I will dictate that. So literally, like every time I turn over a card, that just simply means that I share it with somebody. Okay, so I turn over the first card, I share it with somebody, and it's a 5, okay? That's probably somebody it's kind of on the low end of the scale. That's probably somebody that's giving me kind of a slow, well, I'll look at it, I'll think about it, maybe I'll talk to your sponsor. They'll hear a little bit about it, but they're probably not going to do anything for a little while. So what do? Do I wait? Do I stay there for 2 months waiting for that person to do something? Do I wait?
No.
No, you do not. You do not wait, all right? You keep moving. So I go to the next person. This next person's a 2, all right? This person says, Ryan, no way, Jose. They want nothing to do with Advocare. So again, do I go back and work through my list and, do I spend 2 weeks trying to decide who to reach out to next? No, I don't. I go to the next person and I share it with them. But guess what? It's also a 2, all right? So that's another no. So now I've shared it with 3 people, and 3 people have said, no, the time's not right for them. Now, I will say this too. I think those people will eventually come back. Maybe not the 2s. Maybe the 5 will come back. But there's 3 people. And now, guys, we see this happen all the time. All right, 3 strikes and you're out, right? We have a lot of people that get excited. They get motivated. They want to go do this. They share it with 3 people. The first 3 people say, not right now. Then they stop.
Right.
They're done. All right, time and consistency are huge in this business. Because as you let more people know, that time has changed for them. So I share it with somebody else. Well, guess what? This guy is a joker. All right, who put the joker in the deck of cards? This is your overweight uncle who's broke. He's in debt. He's in horrible health, and he's telling you this is a pyramid scheme. All right, this is the guy whose advice you do not want to take. So you throw him away. All right. Forget about the jokers. Move on with life. But now look, I'm 0 for 4. So now I'm probably starting to get discouraged. But the fifth person I share it with is a 10. Okay, maybe this person becomes a retail customer. Maybe this is a buddy of mine that says, yeah, I'd like to do the 24-day challenge. Maybe he purchases products retail. And now I've got somebody that I can coach. All right, and I'm going to get excited about that because I've got somebody on products who's starting to feel better. And that's going to generate some excitement with me and make it easier for me to share with the next person. But the next person tells it 3, all right? So the next person tells me no. So now, literally, out of my first 6 people that I've shared with, only one person's gotten on products. Who cares, all right? Keep moving. There's a whole deck of cards here waiting for you to share with them. So the next person I share with is a Jack. This person becomes a distributor, all right? Success. Now I've got a retail customer and I've got a wholesale customer. Say that's a 20% person. And the next person I share it with, boom, there it is. That's the ace. This is what you're looking for. This is the guy that's got a lot of connections, that's excited. He places his advisor order right off the bat. So now I've shared it with 8 people. I've got a retail customer, I've got a distributor, and I've got an ace. Guys, in this deck of cards, somewhere there are 4 aces. Okay? Somewhere in this deck of cards, somewhere in my warm market are people that want this. And I guarantee it, that's just like you, and that's just like your warm market. You know people that want to do this. Quite honestly, you know people that need this product, and they're buried in your warm market. Now, what makes me sad is when people go through, say, their first 10 cards. Maybe all of my first 10 cards were 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, people that didn't want to do this. And so maybe I get through, the first third of that deck, but then I stop because I'm discouraged and I don't want to go any further. Those 4 aces are still here, all right? But I'm not going to get to them because I quit. Somebody else is going to get to those aces. Those people are out there and they're going to get involved. It literally just boils down to whether or not you share it with them and whether or not those no's discourage you. But like we talked about in the first class, if your purpose is strong enough and you need this and you want this, you can do this because people need this product. Your aces are out there. It really just depends. Do you want to share it with them or do you want somebody else to share it with them?
Absolutely, and we have the same deck as you guys do. We all have jokers in our deck. We all have 2s and 3s in our deck. We've all worked through those people, okay? Just because we're successful does not mean that every card we flipped over was an ace or a face card. We've had to have the people who think we're crazy. We have to have the people who are one of my best friends recently not only said no to me, but gave me my Impact magazine back that I was in. Didn't even keep it. We've been great friends for over a decade. So, know that we get told no too. Our level of success has not been determined by the fact that everyone has said yes. That's ludicrous. Our level of success has been really the fact that we have more no's than most people. We've just been more willing than most to go out there and share what this can do for people that are in our lives. And people, like Ryan said, they need this opportunity. They need these products, and they need to know that this is out there and what it can do for them, and what they choose to do with it, that's on them. That's not on us. So just know that what you have, you should be very proud of being part of and proud to share with people. Our role is really just to help coach and teach you exactly how to do that, and you will be successful if you're willing to be teachable and kind of soak up this process, because it truly is designed for your success.
Okay. Fastest growing company in America, guys. You already have a franchise, all right? Put us to work. Go share. Work through your deck of cards. Put your mentor, your sponsor to work. Put us to work. We're here for you. Thank you so much for tuning into these 3 classes. If you guys have any questions at all, we're here. We want to help you. We want to work with you, all right? Put us to work. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy your week. God bless you guys. Thank you.